Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this spectacular location. I'm sure that you agree with me that it's a location really very befitting to Tomb Raider, and particularly to Lara. I'm really pleased to be able to join you here this evening at this event, and more so to be able to tell you a little bit and also show you a little bit about the new game and why we feel it's so different.
At core, we had a very clear vision of where we wanted to go. We wanted to take the Lara we all knew and put it into a game, a situation that no one knows. Tomb Raider has always set the benchmark for games. This game will be no different.
The year was 2003, and fans were clamoring to check out the latest release from Core Design, Angel of Darkness. Sales were growing quickly, and gamers couldn't wait to pop this disc into their PlayStation 2s and get started. The premise was to be a different take on LaraCroft. Fans got a new look at an open world and RPG elements into the mix. With a whole new engine and a deeper storyline to work with, this was supposed to elevate the new series to new heights. In this video, I will not aim to change your perspective or opinions about Angel of Darkness. It is well documented about its bugs and shortcomings. No, instead, I want to shed light on all the great things AOD brought to the table. With an open mind, let's dive right in. Hi, I'm the QA Ninja on behalf of Game Entertainment. Welcome aboard. Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness was actually one of my favorite games from the Core Design era. For me, I feel like it doesn't get enough credit for laying the groundwork for Crystal Dynamics Lara that we enjoy today. In this video, I'm just simply aiming to show some of my favorite aspects of it and shed light on things that I felt like could have been fixed to bring it to where we wish it would be. And later on in the video, I'll definitely be going over some exciting things that have been uncovered by the community in the last few years, including something that I feel that fans of the game will really be excited for. Stick around. But first, let's take a quick trip down memory lane. It was at Core's very beginning into their catapulted success. The year was 1996, and at this time, a blue hedgehog, an Italian plumber in overalls, and a bandicoot in jeans were cornering the gaming market. There was a vacant spot that the gaming world would have no idea was empty. The spotlight would be filled by an unexpected protagonist.
When it came to creating LaraCroft, I mean, it wasn't really about trying to get people to imagine they were LaraCroft. My understanding was that mostly games, particularly at that time, were played by guys. You would see all the guys playing with the girls coming, but the girl characters would be chosen very commonly. They would be out much more often than statistically they should be. Was made stronger by the fact that she was a very strong character. She was super tough, and very much after the man with no name, you know, the Clint Eastwood style heroes. And I think people really got a, I don't know, god complex of playing with it.
Enter the Tomb Raider. In a world dominated by video game protagonists, bustled LaraCroft through, guns ablazing, setting the world on fire faster than a 1996 Ferrari F50 ripping the racetrack. She was bold, she was mean, she was badass, and best of all, she was brand new. Unlike anything seen before, teens saw this adventure with our female protagonist to be a refreshing break from the testosterone-fueled packing characters of yesteryear. Tomb Raider was different, in a legendary way.
We're here in front to Tomb Raider, Angel of Darkness.
Fast forward to 2003. Seeing that Core Design had not made a Tomb Raider game since 2000, a 3-year hiatus and multiple delays, the game developers would go over their ambitions through a series of interviews, and when one of them explained some of what to expect at an E3 event, it is hard not to feel like this game was really meant to be and feel like the pinnacle of the Tomb Raider legacy.
Stealth tactics, you can go toe-to-toe with your enemies. Now you can control the camera, you can move all around, you can center it. We also have a button that puts it right into stealth mode. Sneak up behind the guard, break his neck silently, and then get into the room to complete your objective. We also allow you to increase your individual abilities, kind of a RPG-like fashion. You can, as you earn more skills in the game, you can increase your speed, you can increase your strength or jumping ability, and that really kind of caters to the way you want to play the game. We've moved away from the linear approach to gameplay, and we've given you...
You can't fault Core Design completely for Angel of Darkness having failed. A major issue was also the way idols handled things. It is also way too easy to go on a bashing spree for this game, as popular opinion would have it that way. You don't have to go too far to see criticism strewn about on forums and on YouTube. While the sentiment is negative in nature, I can't help but not feel the same way. Why do you ask? For me, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness is more than just the end of the original LaraCroft that we grew up with. It is more than a blip of nostalgia festering with my then teenage brain. It is more than just a failed opportunity. No, this game really did something great that many other old school Tomb Raider fans actually appreciated. For starters, let's go over some of the strong points that managed to make the final cut. This was the most ambitious game of all the original Core Design series. Implementing the RPG element for me was a nice touch. Although not at all polished and the non-playable characters seemed to act like robots during and after conversations, had Core Design put more into the dialogue, this feature could have been arguably one of the best of the series. One thing the team could have incorporated was more situations where if the player chooses the wrong answer, it could lead to alternate scenarios, such as putting Lara in greater danger, or even making a different level accessible that otherwise would be locked off. I understand Core Design was pressed for time, so these things are only things I could wish for had we ever gotten a proper remastered version. Even the stamina bar, although at times tedious, had potential to be a welcome challenge in Lara's story. I enjoy that it gave her a more realistic feel, bringing our heroine back to Earth. There has been criticism on how it was implemented, and I understand why. But for me, it acted as a precursor for the most recent version of LaraCroft from Crystal Dynamics, where she seems way more vulnerable and human. A lot of people don't know the story behind the stamina bar. It was said that after what transpired in Egypt after the end of the Revelations, Lara had lost much of her strength and had to work to get it back. That was the premise behind the stamina bar and AOD. Here's an interview from some of the devs regarding the stamina bar.
As Lara sets out to find Von Croy's killer, she finds that her ordeals have weakened her and that she needs to build up her strength and skills again.
She was really weakened at the tomb in Egypt, so it's the story of her sort of returning as a character, giving her the abilities that she once had and then lost.
We shall have an ability to improve her upper body strength or lower body strength. So as the game progresses, you'll find that she can perform longer jumps, or she can hang on to monkey swings longer and go over parts that she couldn't have done previously.
The Lara that you play potentially will be a different Lara to my Lara. I may be able to run a little bit faster with Lara, and I can get to that door that's always shutting, whereas you haven't quite honed those skills and can't get to that door, but you might be able to climb better than me, so you can go around that corner and drop down the courtyard that I can't get to.
Another part of Angel of Darkness I enjoyed was the more open world feel, especially in the Parisian ghettos. The environment didn't feel as linear as in the previous titles. Players could roam around and explore more freely. The urban exploration settings were a topic of criticism for many people, but I understand Core Design's intentions very clearly. You see, after making 4 mainline titles where Lara ascended organic jungle cliffs and ran through the Great Walls of China, many had grown tired of the original Tomb Raider formula. And so Core Design set to redefine Lara in hopes of reeling in new fans, as well as reinvigorating the platform to their loyalists as well. All this, coupled with a larger gaming engine on next-generation hardware, was a great opportunity to push the envelope and maybe even secure a stamp for the sequel in what was originally intended to be a trilogy. Honestly, the Core Design team should never have split up to make Chronicles and Angel of Darkness in parallel. The year off from making another game on the PS1 would have given the team a whole nother year to focus on the new latest crown jewel for the PS2. I'll never know what was going on behind the scenes, but it feels like so much was left on the cutting room floor only to be unearthed years later. Just like when the wreckage of the Titanic remains were discovered rotting away on the ocean floor in its final resting grave. What a shame, right? Flaws and all, let's discuss the amazing level design and soundtrack. And even with its faults and quirks, this game sits high on my list for its overall experience, especially on the PS2 version, where I find the controls of Lara to be much better than the PC version by a lot. I've played both versions several times, and even with control patches, the PC version pales in comparison when it comes to controlling Lara. The dark tone was a fun, welcome change, and perusing the Louvre while traversing glass cases of historic relics was more than novel by design. All of this, and I would say that my favorite part of the game aside from the storyline was the soundtrack. It was like the London Symphony hired angels to descend to the earth and watch as these angels delicately plucked their soft fingers into the strings of the harps, the violin, and the bass. Every tone in every track was ambient and right where it needed to be. From the thumping intensity of the Louvre galleries being under siege to, of course, what I consider to be the royal crown jewel of it all, the introduction, main theme. This alone was enough to immerse any unsuspecting player into a deep realm of the unknown abyss. It is the best soundtrack of any Tomb Raider game, hands down. In case you were wondering what happened with this game, in short, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness was the 6th installment by Core Design, the original development team behind LaraCroft herself. Seeing that it was set to release on the PS2, pressure was on to elevate the Tomb Raider series. In short, the overly ambitious team, while under the watchful eye of idols, turned in a buggy, incomplete game that ultimately led to Crystal Dynamics taking over the series and even leading to Core Design losing the original IP of the release itself. This was due to multiple delays, challenges working on next-generation hardware, and a bevy of other issues. On the Raidercast, one of my favorite Tomb Raider channels, check it out if you haven't already. It is a phenomenal channel, and it is a goldmine for classic Tomb Raider content. I will link to his channel below. Raidercast breaks down the intricate level details and design of AOD in Excavating Angel of Darkness. Using debug patches, you can see all of the details put into each level, including ones that in normal gameplay would never be noticed. It is amazing to see the attention to detail given in each facet of the levels. One can notice that there may have been too much time spent on elements that unless you have access to debugging the game, you'd never see them. Take for example the beautifully rendered painting in the derelict apartment. It is an actual painting and adds to the ambiance, but would likely go unnoticed to most players, especially since the level is timed and Lara has to quickly move through the rooftop before her air depletes and she succumbs to the poisonous gas. Or the shadow cast by the light at the top of the elevator shaft. It can only be seen when panning the camera up towards the elevator shaft, not during normal gameplay. Then there's the trash bags and crushed soda cans outside Margot Cavier's apartment, yet once again the player would not notice these things during the cutscene. Above all of this, I think I was most astonished to see a hidden cockpit in the helicopter, where once again Laura could never get close enough to see this. It was a fun little Easter egg, but all this extra attention to hidden details adds up over time, and could have taken away, allowing core design to iron out the storyline more. I feel that core design could have focused more on level design for everything that the player would be seeing first during normal gameplay, and flesh out the controls for both the PS2 and PC version, and then, if there was time left over, add in these extra details around all the levels after the fact. On behalf of Game Entertainment, I hope you're enjoying today's show. Now just a quick word from our sponsor.
The Emart green screen is everything you need in a green screen. Portable, easy to set up in just seconds, and wrinkle-free. Ideal for Zoom or even streaming. You can see me using it in a recent podcast, and it was flawless. Best of all, it won't break the bank. Link in the description below.
Thanks to the dedicated Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness community, there are great mods and other patches that have either been implemented or uncovered from the original game code to improve the overall game experience, at least for the PC version. During one of my recent playthroughs of the game, I patched the controls and it felt much closer to the PS2 version when moving Lara around. Also, there's been some awesome beta footage released and shared by the TRAOD modding channel. Some of the most interesting clips are how enemies were actually supposed to be littering all over the open streets of the Parisian ghettos. Dual pistols which can actually be modded back into the game via patches and lots of other cool features. While these patches are great, and as a fan of the game of the original series, I really wish there could have been a complete remake, one with more of a fleshed out storyline, seeing that I feel like the plot of this game was one of the more compelling ones of the core design era.
The community has been amazing with uncovering betas and creating these patches. Now with all this immense potential of AOD seemingly tossed away, you would think a remake would be out of the picture, right? Well,
There's an amazing project being undertaken by a gentleman named Julian Guba, better known to the community as FreakRaider. Using the Unreal Engine, he is set to recreate the Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness experience from the ground up and improve upon the issues previously had by the core design team and idols. I will be putting a link to his channel in the description below. His work is astonishing and the effort has not gone unnoticed. I am floored by the visuals, fluidity, and ambiance that is truly taking the player into a cold, dark, twisted, rainy world that our protagonist would set to run through. Over the last few years, he has started to make mods and corrections within the original game engine and recently moved to the Unreal Engine to really give this a realistic feel. I had the pleasure of interviewing him about his work behind the scenes of Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness 1.5. And this is what Julian had to say. Hi Julian, please tell us about yourself. I'm Julian Guba. I also go by FreakRaider and I'm from Austria. I got into gaming when I was 5. Tomb Raider Legend is still one of my favorite games. So what's your favorite game of all time? Angel of Darkness, Tomb Raider 2013, and Legend. What interests you in revamping Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness and starting 1.5? Personally, I liked AOD as it was, but hearing the big uproar from the community about the game and its glitchy graphics and bad controls, I was very interested in seeing the remake for that game. I have made it and finally revamped where everything looks and feels like a PS5 game. How did you learn to design the levels using the Unreal Engine? Did you have to take any courses? I started experimenting in the Unreal Engine around 2015. I only watch tutorials on YouTube, and besides them, I have no prior knowledge to coding or game design. Where is the best place for fans to learn more about your updates in your project? On my Twitter at RealFreakRaider and on my YouTube channel. Please feel free to check out his ongoing project and show support to Julian. He's an awesome designer for the Tomb Raider community. He is essentially doing what we wish Crystal Dynamics would have done with the current Tomb Raider series, and that is revamp and redesign Angel of Darkness themselves ever since core design was stripped of the original IP. Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us as well. Thank you, core design. I never intended to change anyone's opinion regarding Angel of Darkness. I only wish to shed light and perhaps uncover the beauty that was hidden in plain sight after the release. Despite all of the flaws, if one can get past them, you could really see not just potential, but a center filled with ambition and hard work that ultimately never got the recognition it could have, had it been properly completed. Yet and still, many of us enjoy this broken adventure in a special way. It was a different LaraCroft, but still a recognizable one we grew up with in the previous generation. She was Super Mario with an attitude. She was Sonic with dual pistols. She was, and still is, LaraCroft, the original Tomb Raider. And Angel of Darkness was the final dance with her, a relic that deserves every flower given as much as the previous chapters of our impeccable heroine. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed Angel of Darkness, the beauty within.